poof, poof. Fun fact, I came here multiple times to film this video, and my concept was like to have the camera down, looking up at me as I'm sitting on a basketball court, because I thought that'd be really aesthetic and cool. But the basketball courts were being used, and I didn't want to take up half a court for no apparent reason and like not let people use it for like 30 minutes. But eventually I was like, screw it, I gotta film. So I went to the second floor to look over. However, it is 7:54 in the morning. I got here like 15-20 minutes ago. Both teams, both wheelchair club basketball teams, the women's here and the men's across the hall, are practicing. Also, I'm pretty sure they've been playing since like 6 in the morning, and it's almost 8, so pretty badass. Hi, my name is Lewin. I'm 19 years old. I'm a freshman at the University of Arizona, and fun fact about me that you can probably ascertain is I've been playing basketball for the past 8 years. I started in the 5th grade. Unlike other girls I play at my level, they got a basketball in their hands when they were like 3 years old. You know, there's those photos that are like them on like a blacktop driveway and the basketball's like bigger than their head. I actually used to play flag football, which if you look at me, yeah, that's not much of a surprise for anyone. Played for about 2-3 years, and it actually got to the point where I was pretty good. I actually won like 2 state championships. Not trying to brag. I went for the flag one time during a season game, and I went and I grabbed it. Now you're supposed to grab the flag with your hand, and like it pops out. It's like a popple socket. It's like a flag, and you pop it in, and it pops out, and you're supposed to grab it with your hand. But I was a defender, and I would grab it with my 2 fingers, and I would grab it like that, thinking it'd be faster. Funny thing is, if you do that, because there's no support from the rest of your 5 fingers, 3 fingers, you'll end up breaking your finger, which I learned the hard way by breaking my finger. I went to gym class with a neon green cast on to protect my finger because it was so badly broken that the entire finger was like twisted. I went to gym class, and you know what? I hope this gym teacher is fine with me name dropping her. Miss Lever came up to me and said, "What happened to your hand?" I said, "I broke it." And she said, "Doing what?" I said, "Flag football." And she says, "You still play flag football?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like my favorite sport. I love it. I'm really good at it." And she says to me, and I quote, and this line changed my entire life, "You need to play a real sport." I personally in the moment was offended. I was like, hey, I put my blood, sweat, and literal tears into this sport. Do not tell me it's not real. And she was like, you should do like a real sport, like a all women's team. What I did do was, and off this gym teacher's recommendation, was basketball. She's like, I think you'd really be good at basketball. I am name dropping this teacher and giving her credit because she's literally the reason why I got into basketball. And now I'm sitting here 8 years later making a YouTube video that no one will watch. So it did all work out, I guess. My dad was not a basketball person. He was not crazy about it. He just was like, if it makes you happy and it gets you into like fitness and like friends, do it. I played some clubs in 5th grade and then 6th grade so to 8th, so middle school. I played for the local police athletic league. I had no idea how good the foundations that they taught you. We were a bad team. I'm not saying like we won championships. We were bad. But the foundations that they taught you in middle school for this police athletic league were so good and so foundational that like I grew up and had no idea how good of a coach I had until I played other people, and especially men, to demonstrate the fact that like I had such great foundations when it comes to ball handling. Basic things like when you shoot a basketball, right? I'm forgetting the fact that I have a mic in my hand. When you shoot a basketball and it goes on your palm, right? You should be able to put your finger in like the palm of your hand and still like be able to put your finger there. That's like basic like holding a basketball. Like you should be able to put your finger in that little spot. And then they're palming the ball while taking a jump shot. I can't get into that. That's too advanced for y'all. I played in middle school, and then I decided, I was like, I really want to play in high school. This is my sport. I love it. Going into my freshman year, I was training so much. Well, I did have a breakup, but that's unrelated. I was training so much for basketball going into my freshman year for tryouts. I had lost in like 2-3 months, like 15 pounds. Like when I play basketball, when I work out, I don't think about anything. I didn't realize this was a weird niche thing. but like I don't have thoughts to the point where I can't keep track of numbers. And I get in trouble during basketball practices because like you do this sort of thing called like micing. So what that is like you do constant layups from right to left, but you don't reset, if that means anything. It's continuous. You have to keep track of how many you do, so we can all finish and move on. And I would just continually do it and then lose track of the number because I can't keep track of numbers when I work out. And I would get in trouble like all the time by my coaches. I've been playing basketball for 8 years, and this still applies. When I work out, I don't count my sets and my numbers. I just do it till I get X amount of shots in a row and I'm in like a flow. Or I do it based on songs. Like I know, because I used to do music, I know how long a song is, and I know how long it takes to get to a verse or how long the verse lasts. So like I'll sprint till that next verse comes up. 8th grade, going into high school, I try out for the freshman team. I made, to give reference, the starter for the freshman team and the starter for the JV team. Playing for a JV team while you're still a freshman, if you can do it, I think it's a great experience. I was grateful that I was able to, and the coaches on my freshman team and JV team that no longer work at my school actually like were able to tell me exactly what jobs I needed to do. And then my sophomore season was pretty cool. I played all JV and I started. And then my end of my sophomore season, so I'm gonna think like maybe 5-6 games left in the season. They put like some of the sophomore players of JV on varsity to fill the roster, which was like super cool. So I actually got to play some like varsity minutes in my sophomore year, which was like a really cool experience, and I was very excited by. I still have a photo with me holding and smiling with my like varsity jersey. Like it's cute. And then Havoc reigned. To give reference, at this point, I'm a sophomore in high school. I am playing basketball all year round. Well, I've decided this is my sport. On top of that, I've decided by the end of my sophomore year that I really want to play basketball in college. I think why basketball became my sport, despite the fact that maybe athletically it wasn't really always what I was best at. And I gotta tell you, for years I sucked. I've never been like the star of a team. I always was like on the bench, like I sucked, like I was not great. The reason why I stuck to basketball, and I urge if you're a parent at home, obviously parents at home aren't watching this video, but if you are a parent or you're a kid and you want to show your parent this video, is that your passion towards the sport is going to get you farther than any natural talent at a sport. It never felt like work to practice. Like getting a basketball and a hoop and just going on like outdoors, even in like 30 degrees, because I'm like from the Northeast region, right? So like winters come and I didn't have access to an indoor court. Playing outside never felt like work. It didn't feel like a chore. I mean, obviously when you get older and you're working out at like 5:30, 6, it feels tiring, but it's just because you're tired. Like it's 6 in the morning. My passion for basketball has got me a lot farther than any other sport could, just because of how much I care. And I am a freshman in college, and I'm gotten to the point where I'm now trying to run to the gym, do weights, run back, and in the afternoon do 2 hours of basketball, plus weights, a little bit of weights again, every day. And to me, that doesn't even, like, my friends look at me and they're like, how do you do that? And I'm like, it doesn't feel like work because it's just a part of routine. Up early is hard. You don't want to. Definitely a lot of days and weeks I slept in. But now I'm like in the routine of it, and it's like, it's just routine. No one is like metahuman. No one has superpowers. It's all about the idea of like, do you care about the goal more than do you care about the work? I just know people that didn't have passion in their sport, but they were good at it, and I could tell they're not going to get that far because they don't care about the sport really. So yes, I stuck to basketball, and I decided in my sophomore year I wanted to play in college. To the point where I mentioned it to a guidance counselor of mine, like, oh yeah, like I think I want to play in college, so I want to keep that in mind. She's like, well, I don't know if that's going to really happen for you. I mean, only the best of the best, you know, play in college, and like I've never even heard of you. So I think the reason why I pushed myself so hard to do an idea or a dream that no one believed I could do, including myself, was because I grew up in the suburbs, and I grew up with a lot of teachers that I call them like what if teachers, that are like, they're former football players and like basketball players and like very dream sports where like they always have like this what if story, like, you know, like I got hurt. This is like a genuine story. I got hurt in college and I was a star player and I could have made it to the pros, but like I got hurt and then I slacked and I thought I was the coolest and now I'm here. And I'm like, oh my God, like not teaching being your full backup plan and like you really letting out your sorrows in front of a class of like 6th, 7th graders, right? I just grew up with teachers like that, like gym teachers, English teachers, science teachers that played sports, got really good, and then they regretted not taking them farther. And I think that was just my worst fear. Like, I didn't want to grow up to be a resentful teacher, which is ironic because now I am getting my education degree. So I do want to be a teacher, but I just didn't want to grow up being like a resentful person or like a what if person, as if I had opportunities and I just didn't take them far enough. By the way, my sophomore year, great start, okay? Great expectations for me. And then it all began. In my junior year, I went out for tryouts, and apparently in high school, depending how big or small your program is for women's basketball, tryouts are like a formality. They don't really decide anything. Your coach is kind of already made up his mind. Now, to give reference, there was a different coach for every single program. Okay, so I had a great experience with freshmen and JV. I got a lot of playing time, 2 different coaches, okay, which also both left the program. There was a varsity coach I had, and I had never really worked with him until like the end of my sophomore year. And I didn't do that much playing time, so I didn't really experience like working with him. My first reference of this coach was I remember I went into the school building one day and I told this girl, she was like 2 years above me, I was trying out for the basketball team. She said, "That's great. I play on the varsity basketball team. I love playing for them. Do you know what team you're trying to get on?" And I said, "Well, I would love to get on varsity, but I'm a freshman, so probably freshman or JV." She said to me, "Well, it's okay if you don't get on varsity. That's the crazy coach." Apparently, the varsity coach had been known for yelling at refs during games to the point where the league knew about him and would like give out warnings. And like I remember later years talking to girls in other towns because I would play for AAU, I'd play at combines, I'd play at training camps, and I would tell them what town I was from. And they'd be like, "Oh, is that the coach that like yells a lot?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." So, I'm about to get riled up. Okay, so junior year, do the tryout. It's a formality, doesn't really matter that much. The first 4 games, I get some minutes. 2, 3, 5 minutes here and there. It's not a lot, but you're a junior, you don't really score a lot of points. This is kind of average, right? You put on the jersey to participate, but it's not a guarantee you'll play. I'm working in the gym, and I said to my coach, "What can I do to get more minutes?" Now, if you're a player and you're not getting a lot of minutes in a game, do not go up to your coach and be like, "I need more minutes." It's not going to happen. You don't really say that. You say, "What can I do?" or "What do you need from me?" Okay, if you're a coachable player, it's a lot easier to get minutes because realistically, there's very few players that can do 101 things, right? You're trying to do 1, 2, 3 things really well, and then let a different player do 1, 2, 3 things very well. And the idea is that you all come together and 5 of you on a basketball court and you all do your thing, right? I said, "What do you want me to do?" And my coach, and like I should have like receipts of this, honestly, but my coach told me to my face, "I want you to shoot 3s. Okay. I want to make something very clear. I'm 19. I've been playing basketball for 8 years, okay? I don't like 3-point shooting. I'm the only person probably alive that does not like 3-point shooting. Now, I'm not one of these old, no offense, grandpas that's like, we should get rid of 3-point shooting. No, I don't think that. I don't like that people are trained or taught to shoot 3s. Why? To give reference, right now, I'm a mid-range shooter, defender, and rebounder, okay? I like to go for accuracy, right? So when I train, I shoot like 100 free throws in a row, and I'm making like 75 to 81 of them out of 100, right? I like knowing I have a high free throw percentage. I want to aim for 70% accuracy when I'm shooting mid-range, okay? I like to know that you can rely on me, and I'm a reliable player. I don't like making shots that the average in high school of making is 33%. So to be good, I have to make 1 out of 3 shots. If you told someone, hey, this player only makes 2 to 3 shots out of 10, you'd be like, I'm not going to play them. They suck. Stop doing that. If you told them they're a 3-point shooter, apparently now they're good. That's why I don't like 3-point shooting, especially at a young age. I don't think it's a good shot to learn. And I think these Caitlin Clark's and Stephen Curry's are so rare in basketball. The reason why we awe at them and we're amazed by them is because it's so hard to get good at shooting threes. The fact that I was being told by a coach, like, you need to shoot more threes because there was no three-point shooter, felt like I was kind of doing errands for a team because no one wants to shoot threes because everyone misses shooting threes. Fun fact, I got good at shooting threes because that's what my coach told me to do, so that's all I did. Practice shooting threes. I didn't want to shoot threes. I don't like shooting threes. And now apparently I'm good at shooting threes because I spent a year of a season practicing shooting threes. To the point where I actually got pretty good at shooting threes and was actually able to make some during games. Did not matter though. In my junior year, I did not play 8 games straight. I kept going to my coach and asking why. I would show up to practice like first person there sometimes. Sometimes I'd get early and I'd be at the practice before us. I'd be the last person to leave. Point where like my coach would get annoyed at me a little bit because like he's locking the doors. He's cleaning up the mats. He's like cleaning up and like I'm there practicing with the assistant coach and like I'm still there. It wasn't like I wasn't being played and then I didn't put in the work. I was putting the work more than everyone else. And I was doing exactly what my coach told me and I still wasn't being played. There was definitely time in those 8 games where I could have been played. There was games where we were down by 25, 30 points. And like there's no, why do we got to put in our starters to get hurt in a game where we're down by 30? There was games where we were up by 20 and he's still putting the starters. That didn't really make a lot of sense. One time, team was up by so much that my parents went to a game and they were up by like 20, 30 points and halftime comes around. And like if you're up by like 20, 30 points by halftime, it's like, it's time to like relax. And coach still put in the starters by halftime. My parents still tell me the story of how they started rooting for the other team because they felt so sad because they thought it was so unfair that they were putting in like the starters. I did not play 8 games in my junior season. And if you don't know, for basketball recruiting, your junior season stats is kind of like your resume, right? They don't really care that much about freshman and sophomore. Junior year is kind of like your resume, and senior year is like your campaign. Senior year, you actively are trying to get recruited during your senior year, so you're using your junior year. And there was so much mental weight I put on myself and pressure to do well and like ball out in my junior year to send that to coaches and put that on my NCSA account. That did not happen. To the point where I didn't want to put my stats or the links to my stats on my account because how scared I was that it would just look bad. I had never played like not played 8 games straight like my entire life. I mean, was I a star? No. Was I scoring a lot of points? No. But I was never not that good, right? Where I could not be played 8 games straight for not even a single minute. There's a physical reaction I had that my teammates could notice, and then there was a mental reaction happening that like maybe not everyone could see. Physically, I would come to practice, I'd just be pissed. And that did not kick in though till games 5 or 6, okay? So there's 4 games I'm not being played. I'm like, it's not my time, that's okay. I'm gonna put my best foot forward and keep on going. Game 5, 6, I have to tell you though, the demeanor of me going to the gym and working out every day, being a part of the practice squad, it really shot down to the point where I would go to practice and my teammates would like ask me like, are you good? And I'd be like, no. I felt that I was doing everything I needed to do. I was communicating the way I was taught to as a future adult, and nothing was working for me. I just kind of felt like I didn't matter on the team. I felt, if I'm not playing on varsity, why am I on varsity? Now looking back, and especially now I like kind of took a glance at stats. There were 12, 13 people on the roster, but only 6 or 7 players were being played every single game. That's not very normal for high school. I remember going into playoffs and we would study the teams that we were about to play in playoffs in the first round, and we get like their stat sheet. Look at the stat sheet and you look across the board of like who has the most points, who are we studying? But if you looked at the stat sheet for this private school we were about to play, or this like really fancy school, all the players on the team had played. Like what? They had 20-something games. The player with the least amount of games had 13, right? And you looked at our stat sheet and all you saw was 6 or 7 players with like tons of points and then all zeros and no games played. You need to have a team that can all play basketball. right? What's the point of having 12, 13 people on a roster if you're not going to ever play 12, 13 people on a roster? Now, the higher levels you get, it's more competitive. I understand. But high school basketball, if you have a set team and you're grateful to have a set team of players that are dedicating their time, you want to circulate everyone in. Okay, another reason is to prevent injury, okay? Playing one player all the time for all these minutes, they're gonna get hurt. And we had that player playing all the time, and every season she had some type of injury, man. Automatically, I was kind of getting the reference of like, oh, this is not how other good basketball programs circulate their players. This is our high school does this thing. This is where I talk about myself mentally, is that I'm not being played for 8 games. It's horrible. It's my junior season, so it's the most harsh academic season of my life. And I'm not trying to be dramatic and say this is like the worst moment of my life. I don't think that's accurate at all. But if there's an extent amount of period or time I felt bad about a period of time I think was the worst period of time in my life, and it sounds very dramatic, is probably those 8 games I just was never played. To give reference, I'm having the craziest workload. I'm taking APs for the first time. I am piled in schoolwork. I'm practicing 2 hours a day for this basketball team that I'm not being played on. I put all this pressure on myself to get really good stats so I could show it to coaches. That is not going to happen because I'm thinking because I'm not getting minutes in my junior season, I'll never be able to play basketball in college. I think for me, it's very hard for me to talk about like mental well-being and mental health. I think I grew up with my mom having very severe mental health issues, and I grew up with that before even the term mental health. I knew what it was, and I didn't even understand what she was going through till I got older, and especially now as an adult. I grew up and seeing a lot of friends of mine going through a lot of very scary things with their health, going through mental health stuff that like to the point where it was hard to talk about in times of my life. Now I'm an adult, I'm 19, I've grown up, I've taken college courses. I mean, I can kind of understand and process what I've been through and understand like that was scary, but I maybe just didn't fully understand it. I think it is ill-advised and immature to say that I was depressed because I've never been depressed. I've never been diagnosed with depression. I don't know if that is what that is, but if there was any time I thought I was, it maybe was that time. I started eating less. I was just so busy with basketball and homework, I'd forget to eat. I wouldn't want to eat. I started sleeping less. It would be hard for me to fall asleep because I have so many thoughts in my head, mostly 90% of the time negative, rarely positive, and I would wake up super early hours for work to get to school, for basketball. I would have less energy to be social. I just didn't want to see friends. I didn't have the energy to lie and say I was fine. It was just a really bad time, and I didn't realize how bad it was till I got older and actually happy, which I'll get to, and realize how bad it was in perspective. I think the scariest thing in my life that I've ever experienced is telling a person you love you're not okay. And I think the worst thing and the last thing I ever wanted to do was tell like my parents or my friends, hey, like I'm really not good right now. I felt I was failing so much as an athlete and as a student. The last thing I wanted to do was then tell other people that I'm failing in other ways, right? And that's a lot emotionally. And looking back, I think because I don't have enough information, I don't want to say I was depressed, but I was like pretty close to the definition. Now, I want to make something very clear. It's not that I was not being played, okay? I expected, because I was not scoring really points, that I was not going to be played for every game. I maybe expected half the season. But when you're not played consecutively for like 8 games in a row and you're not given a reason by your coaches, and then even to the point of your teammates being like, why aren't you being played? Did you do something? Doesn't that kind of piss you off just a little? I'm holding it together because I'm an adult now and I'm supposed to be mature. But come on, okay? Fast forward, I go to senior year and I have my tryouts and my coach sits me down. It was a damp side office of the gym. 3 male coaches. Now, men can be coaches too. Love you guys sometimes. It's a little weird when it's like all 3 male coaches staring at you and you're in a chair in sweaty clothes in a damp classroom. So already the scene is kind of something out of a creepy A24 horror movie. And basically my coaches told me straight up, we're not going to play you. I said, why? Well, didn't really give me a reason. Well, I worked on shooting threes like you told me. Well, why did you think we wanted you to shoot threes?
What?
I can't. It's only 8:30 in the morning. I can't get into that. I felt like I was a very malleable player, right? I'm honestly the idea of a team player, right? If you're like, I need more assists from you, boom, I got you. Okay, I'm giving Trae Young energy. Not anything like Trae Young, just the only fact that he gets more excited when he has more assists totals in a game than he has actual points. Okay, that's me. If my job was to be Dennis freaking Rodman, get rebounds and play really good defense, and you didn't care that I scored points ever, oh my God. I have the greatest time in the world. I'd be so happy. Oh my God. Because scoring points to me is so iffy and there's so much going on, and it can either be like you score 4 points or like 25 points. If I didn't have to score points, I wouldn't. I wish that was my job. I wish someone helped me with that. I was also doing summer every single year for that team, so they were seeing me play over the summer, getting a lot of rebounds. They were like, you have the weekend to decide. It was, I think, Labor Day, so I had like a 3-day weekend. Listen, I'm not proud of a lot of things I'm probably going to say on this channel. I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but it happened. And if I started this video by being super honest and then lying about the facts, I don't think that's fair. I went home that weekend and I cried. I sobbed. I was so sad because I kind of knew I had two choices. Stay with a basketball team that makes me unhappy, to not be respected, heard, or honestly felt like I was being forgotten by one male coach I never met that was new, and two coaches that had not really been showing me much, and fight the odds all season while barely trying to keep up with homework and all that. Or quit high school. The one thing I'm known for is like playing high school basketball. Quit that, really don't have a life at my high school, and try to join another team. And I did actually take the weekend to decide. I weighed my options. My coach one time was on a phone call with me, I think like sometime before actually, and he was talking to me and he was like, I think you could be really good. I think there's a spot for you. It's just, but it's not like you're ever going to be like that good or like better than the best player, which you really shouldn't say that to like a player you believe in. It was weird because I told my parents, and my parents were like, we don't think you should play. And I was like, okay, you guys never want me to play basketball, being honest. My parents were like, well, you're dedicating your time to a program that doesn't respect you and to coaches that don't see anything in you. And is that who you really want to give your time to? Which was kind of a bar. Eventually, when Tuesday came around, I just didn't go to practice. My parents, for some reason, asked me, did you get a text message or anything? No. My coach just kind of didn't follow up with me or anything, but like I didn't follow up with them either. They kind of just assumed I wasn't on the team if I didn't show up. I don't know if like coaches are supposed to text you if you've been a part of a league for 3 years and every summer and every winter break, but I don't know. I was happy that I didn't have to go through that team because my teammates seemed like my teammates were kind of mean to me. No, my teammates I kind of felt like I didn't exist. They were rude to me, and my coaches didn't believe in me, and also like teased me and make fun of me. I'm gonna get to that later, but I didn't know what I was gonna do. And so the first thing I did was go online and look for AAU teams to play with. So eventually I found this AAU team for women. I go to the tryouts 45 minutes away, and I get there and I look around the room and I'm like, hey, can I try out? Now, there was no women in the room. There was like 60 dudes though, like a 60 like high school boys all dribbling their basketball. So it was really loud. All I see is one girl my age and her mother, and they're talking to a coach and they look very frustrated. And then they leave, and I was like, oh wow, that is so not a good sign because my dad just drove me here for 45 minutes. They go up to the coach and he says, well, we don't have enough people for a women's team. I said, hey, I asked, what is this? And they're like, it's tryouts for the AAU high school team for boys. I'm going to call it men. I know they're not men. They're like freshmen, sophomore, junior high school boys. But it's weird calling it a boys team, even though you call girls high school. I'm just calling men's. I'm not referring to men. They're not grown men. It's just men. I'm going to call men. I had my shoes on. I'm already there. I was just like, hey, I'm not trying out for the men's team, but can I just like run with them? Like, I'm already here. I just want to play basketball. He was like, sure. We have like no problem with that. So I did the hour and a half of a tryout. The way boys played already threw me off because we did some layups, we did some shooting, we did some sprints, and then they're like, okay, the rest of practice is scrimmages. What? That's crazy. I'd never really been on a women's team where they just scrimmage for tryouts. Or like ever. And so we scrimmaged. It was really fun. Oh my God. These guys, man, they just like throw your bodies into each other, and like they have no care for their arms. So their arms are just like flailing in the air. They were good shooters and they had really cool handles. But when it came to like passing the ball, they just like the basic gym class passing was like kind of all they were taught. Tryout ends. And the coach says to me, hey, we have another one tomorrow. You can join if you want. And he said also it's free. And I was like, free basketball? Sign me up. So I went back and the tryouts end. So I didn't understand was about like 40 to 60 guys. I know that's a 20 range. There was like a lot of guys there. I can't count. I did not realize, but they were like, do you want to try out too? And I was like, this is a boys team. I don't think I can. They're like, yeah, you can. It happens once in a while. A ton of guys tried out. And you had the choice of getting on top A team. You have the B team and you have the C team with different coaches. And I tried out. I told my parents, I said, I don't think I'm going to make it. They're all really like tall and they're like freaking like tough and they're like punching each other in the face. I am 5'7" and technically as a month ago, a half. I'm short. I'm not the fastest person on the court. I get the email and I made it and I was surprised. I was like, oh my God, that is crazy. On top of that, I had actually made the A team. So I later asked my coach, why did I make the best team? I'm not the fastest person here. I'm not tall at all. And my coach said something to me. I need someone who passes the ball and passes the ball well. You were the only person selflessly sharing the basketball. So long story short, I made a AAU men's team by passing the ball. I didn't have to score 5, 10, 15 points in a scrimmage. I didn't have to do something crazy. I just passed the ball really well, okay? And this is some basketball knowledge you at home might not understand, but, you know, I was looking for backdoor cuts, little pass through the lane, pass to the block. I was, like, trying to alley it to some guys because some of them could dunk. If you don't know, AAU does not practice every day, or to the degree of what you play AAU. It's like every other day practice, and it's like an hour and a half. So I found this one team called Women's Rec Team. I did not know what that was. And when I saw women's, I thought it meant high school girls, but like women, right? Like women's basketball. I did not realize I had signed up for a women's rec team until I was in the group chat. One woman in the group chat says, sorry, I can't, I have to watch my kid. I was like, oh, this is a women's rec league. Okay, this is like 21, 22, 25, 32. I am 18 at the time in high school. I, in my senior season of high school, played for a boys, men's, AAU high school team, as well as a women's rec league that included Division 2 and 3 former and current players. How do I feel? I think the decision I made was the best decision of my life. I really kind of trusted myself and I went to the deep end and I somehow floated, right? I swam. Does it still make me sad? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of always everyone's goal to do senior night of high school and, you know, wear your jersey. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I really loved my high school jersey. It was pretty cool looking. But have your parents come to senior night and you start a varsity basketball game, they say your first and last name on the speaker, right? Those were dreams of mine, and the fact that I had to step away and kind of give up on those and realize that would not be possible and will just get me more playing time because you can't get better at basketball if you don't play basketball. The decision made me sad, but the outcome was better for me. I'm thinking to myself, I can't get recruited, but what I did is saying, what the hell, why not? So I make an NCAA profile, I'm dyslexic, just give me a second. But it's basically like LinkedIn, but for high school students to get recruited. This is to any student athlete out there, high school player that wants to get recruited and you don't think you believe in yourself or anyone else, bring a camera, bring a phone, bring a tripod. Every game you play, film it. It doesn't matter who you're playing, it doesn't matter, well, don't film like pickup games, but it doesn't matter who you're playing and it doesn't matter what uniform you're wearing, you're playing basketball. And especially for filming videos and highlights against other men, if a high school coach is watching that, they're noticing the fact that your opponents are men. Guys twice your height and twice your weight and you're playing against them, right? My highlight reel that I sent to coaches and stuff was mostly made up of highlights from guys and this rec league I played in with Division 2 and 3 players, right? Coaches did not care that your highlights weren't from high school in that it was from rec leagues or boys teams. Depends on what school you're applying to, depends on the coach, but they just want to see you play basketball and they want to see how you play at that level, how aggressive, and if you follow through with things. And I started getting emails. What I did on top of that was I went to these combines, or like these basketball combines, where other people from either in your state or out of your state, and you play basketball for like 5 hours straight, and college coaches come and watch you and they like help you out and stuff like that. One of them I did, and this, I feel like this is a very important story, is I went and I woke up with the flu. And I was in so much denial that I was like, I'm just gonna go anyways. And then I went, and then I had trouble breathing. I went out to them, I just was honest. I said, hey, I woke up sick. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I came here anyways. I live like an hour and a half from home. I came here anyways, and I was gonna play, and I'm literally having trouble breathing. I know if I play, it's gonna be like crap, and I don't want you to think I play like crap. I didn't say that, but I basically told that to my coaches. You should introduce yourself to the coaches that are spending their time to help you out, right? Even though you're paying. One coach, though, said, I really respect you coming up and coming out here and trying. Let me get your information and we'll keep talking. So she was a JUCO coach. And if you don't know, JUCO is like junior college. It's like a level below D3. And she was in contact with me to the point where she wanted to give me a phone call. I'd never gotten a phone call from a college coach before, so I was like sweating and my palms were nervous and I was like scared. And the coach was so sweet, and she said, I really appreciate you coming up. Listen, I'm looking at your grades. You will not be coming to my college. I kind of know that, we see that, but I respect you. I like helping young players out. If you have any questions with the college recruiting process, hit me up. You can. And just by me advocating for myself and like really putting my all out there, I met coaches through recruitment. It's the relationship of you showing effort and trying and advocating for yourself really got me very far. So I think even if no one believes in you, you might not even believe in yourself. Just trying and showing that you care can actually go a far way. I was getting emails once a week, twice a week, to the point where I was getting emails every other day from coaches. I was getting Division 2 and 3. I remember getting my first Division 2 email. I'm like, oh my God. One Division 3 school in Indiana, actually, I got an offered to do a free overnight, like you basically stay with a college student in their dorm and you experience the college for a day and you go overnight. I actually stayed with the softball girls. And this story is important because basically I went to this college first in a blizzard. I also was staying with the softball girls that are the Division 3 softball girls for that school. And what I did was experience what it's like to be a Division 3 athlete, like in 24 hours or something, right? I then woke up at 4:45 in the morning to go to do weights at 5:15 across the campus. And this is one of my favorite stories I love telling people, is because it's like you're going to do weights. It's the middle of a blizzard in Indiana, so we're all like in our tundra jackets and we're like flopping over, and it's like the entire ground is ice, and it was also like raining a little, so we're like sliding in our like slides and stuff, and we're going to do weights. And I'm just like keeping my head down, and I'm like going to do my workouts, and I'm just like, I'm gonna pretend like I belong here and just follow their lead. But the trainer there, the coach, was actually super nice, and he took it upon himself to teach me everything, to the point where he taught me how to properly use like a squat, like a weighted squat with like the bar and everything, and how to do it safely so that you don't hurt yourself. I have been doing weights at my high school at the football facility for the past like 4 years, right? I did it for 3 years, and then I did dual enrollment at my local college. So every day, on top of the playing with the rec team and the boys AAU team, pickup games with college guys every day after class. And I was using the college facility weights every day. I was in the weight room working out with the football team sometimes because the basketball team didn't have any like workouts, doing exercises in the gym, being there every day. But I had never known how to use like a bar, right? Guys are taught by their fathers, their friends, it's taught by their coaches. Women do not really get that opportunity. So I started at 60 pounds, right? That's pretty good. I've been training my legs for years. I wanted to work on my vertical, so 60 was a pretty good baseline. As of yesterday, I'm at 210 pounds with a squatted bar on my back. For women, that's way above average. Kind of a coach taking the time and believing in me. But the only way I would have ever learned that is by working out with a Division 3 team. I wish my women's high school team had us doing weights. I think it would have changed a lot. I don't know if it would have directly meant more wins, but it would have changed everything. And I gotta tell you, YouTube videos. Everything I learned about training alone for basketball, doing weights, how to train my body, how to eat, everything, YouTube, which is a horrible experience and a great one because you can find some great creators that are like genuine. You're gonna also learn some really great stuff, but also some like weird mixed information. So you kinda gotta like compare and contrast. Maybe March time, maybe late April, I got an email from a Division I school. I have to tell you, I got this email, I started screaming. I want to cry, I want to weep tears of joy. It was my dream come true. There is a Division I school, and I'm actually gonna shout out the school because I love this school. I'm sorry I didn't go to you guys, called Berkeley College in New York. Sent me an email, I actually almost started crying. I was so happy. Basically, the player that was never played in high school, the player that was never given minutes, that was sat by her coach, the player that no one believed in, the player that had to play in a boys AAU varsity AAU team her senior season, had to play for a rec team, okay, and was taught how to do weights by a Division III team in like a basement in a blizzard, is now getting a Division I offer. I went to the school. And Berkeley College is like in Manhattan. So I actually went into the city to meet up with a friend, and I kind of just didn't tell my parents. I'm like, I'm also gonna go to this like college and like take a tour. I met the coach. The coach is super sweet. She's great. She's amazing. I never played with her, so I don't know about her basketball forte, but I did meet her. I genuinely thought she was a cop. And she was very serious. And this, I think, is a good thing. I'm going to get to that later. But she basically, like, there's kind of this idea of, like, when you get recruited, you get, like, the letter, and you sign, and you put on the hat, and you do the whole thing. The closest thing I ever got to that was emails. The fact that I sat in this woman's office, and I did this whole tour, and I kept thinking to myself, it's like an interview. It's like an interview. You say the right answers, you give honest opinions, you know, you don't want to be criticizing in any way or rude. And she sits down with me, and she's like, you know, if you want to sign with us right now, you can. That was the closest experience I had to like the signing day of D1 players, was her giving me the thing and saying like, you could sign with us, sign something saying you're playing for us. I told her I would love to, but my parents don't know I'm here, and I'm 99% sure they're paying for my college, so I'm not gonna do that. She said, cool, go home, take some time, talk about it with your parents. I'm at the University of Arizona. I did not go to Berkeley College in New York. Now, if you're like, why? You worked so hard, you didn't even think you get a D1 offer, to the point where I had a post-it note, or like flashcard, and I wrote on it, Division I 1.4%. That is the percentage, and that was above my, like, on my, like, board in my room, so every morning I woke up to get dressed, I would see it, and it was my motivation, that only 1.4% of women's basketball players go D1. So the fact that I could have been a part of that 1.4% that I've been working towards, the fact that I never thought I would get even a D1 offer and I got one, is incredible. So why didn't I go D1 is a great question. Now, one, I'm a dumbass. I didn't go D1. I think that's what a lot of men, when I meet them and I tell them that, think. I think for shortness and how I feel, I'm a dumbass, okay? Second, the real reason why I tell people, like the condensed version, so we can like get stuff moving, is they did not have my major. Now, the real reason why I didn't go, and like the third and like the real reason that takes a little explanation, is that I just left my senior season of women's high school basketball to be happier, but also play more basketball. To go to this D1 school, I knew one, because I didn't have my major, I'd be transferring. So two, is your freshman year of Division I basketball, you might not play a lot. There's no expectation you'll actually play at all, but that's normal because the idea is you go through the program. But if you go to a D1 school, don't play, and then try to go to the transfer portal, with what stats? Basically going to a school to transfer. Let's put aside, let's say I didn't care about academics, basketball's life, I did get playing time, whatever. I didn't care about how close I was. Put that all aside. Every player has their niche, okay? Some players like eating candy before and after games. Some players walk around barefoot. Some players like getting wasted. Like some players do carbo loads. Everyone has their little niche. Some players listen to jazz or classical music. Everyone has their little niche of something that they do that kind of makes them who they are as an athlete. My thing that makes me who I am as an athlete is sleep, okay? I am an extroverted person. The only way I can be this extroverted is if I get sleep. Now, I understand when it comes to playoffs, end of the season, Getting sleep is going to become less and less a priority because you're going to go off 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. I've been there, I've done that, I understand that, but that's temporary. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? We would not be practicing because New York City, you need to get certain gym times and everything's like condensed till 10 at night. Now, if you don't know this, D1 basketball practices are 3 hours long. So, let's do the math. 10 p.m. you start practice, you go till 1 in the morning, okay? Now, if you're like, well, D1's my dream, I'm going to do that. Let me break it down for you. You do not get to practice at 10. You get to practice at 9. You're not getting to practice on time. This is not high school. It's D1. You're getting to practice an hour and a half early, depending on your classes, right? If you're a freshman, you're not leaving practice when practice ends. You're staying an hour and a half late. So really, it's not a 3-hour practice. It's a 4 to 6 hour practice, okay? Now, for me, I'm okay with that. That's the dream, honestly, but I can't do that at 10 at night and not get home till 2 or 3 a.m. and then try to wake up and perform the next day. That's a temporary playoff situation. That's not a that's my life situation. I also love the warm weather. I cannot, I don't think I can go back to the Northeast. I could have gone to some of the Division 2 or 3 schools, but the idea that I got a D1 recruitment offer, I couldn't do that. And I genuinely did look into the D2 and 3 schools I got recruited by, and I was not interested in them. That was a school that I actually liked, so I'm here at the University of Arizona. I would be irresponsible if I didn't answer some hypothetical questions I asked myself now, or have been asked by others. 1, what's the difference between women's basketball, so high school girls, and men's? Okay, I've done pickup games with guys since in the 6th grade. I've now said I've played on a team. What's the difference? It's the physicality. However, that doesn't mean that's a lack towards women. Guys are just so much more physical. They have no fear in their eyes. I was always scared to drive to the basket and go for a layup because I've seen so many injuries. I was never really taught how to do that. And when I played on a men's team, in a week, I'm not afraid ever again to drive to the basket. 2 weeks into my senior season, a guy actually broke my finger. He fractured my pinky, which is like such a sad injury, but I played with a fractured finger. So, I mean, I couldn't miss my senior season for like a finger, like my pinky of all fingers. However, though, men's basketball has a lot less of like eye-hand coordination. If I have 30 minutes or an hour, I'll do a pickup game with guys. But if I'm actually trying to learn the foundations of basketball, I wouldn't play on a guy's team. Women are a lot more like, just more with the foundations. They're passing a lot better. They're doing a lot more complex stuff and a lot faster. Do I prefer one over the other? No, it really depends what I'm trying to do for the day. Do I regret not playing for my high school team? Yeah, I'm sad by it, but now I look back at my high school team in the behaviors by some of the staff and my teammates, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that was such a horrible team I was on. I mean, when I was playing, all my friends and my family would tell me, oh, you deserve better, they should play you, and I just thought they were kissing my butt. But now I look back, and I'm realizing, wow, that was really weird. You are a coach, and there is a player trying at a sport, or your teammate is trying at a sport. Can we not make fun of them? Said something to someone and you didn't realize how that was just you until they all look at you with a weird look. Played on a rec team with Division 2 and 3 players, and they all looked at me when I told them the story like, oh yeah, I get teased for like trying hard. And then like, you get made fun of for trying hard at a sport that you play 2 to 3 hours every day. Playing on a rec league with Division 2 and 3 players, I've had coaches that were former Division 1, puts in perspective how weird the atmosphere was at my high school team. Coaches, players out there, just a little PSA. Stop using your teammates or your players as comic relief. That's weird. Stop it. Don't do that. That's weird. It is not my fault you're an adult and you're still socially awkward. Okay, that sounds like a you problem. I love the college, Berkeley College in New York coach so much just because when I met her, I thought she was a cop. She's just so serious. But you want to know why she would probably be my favorite coach of all time? Because I never have to guess what her tone is. It's obvious. I don't want to do weird social situations with you because like it's my job to make you laugh. That's weird. I didn't realize how weird it was till I told adults that play college basketball the things that happened to me and said, no, that's weird. It's weird if you're a coach and you want to make a joke, so you make fun of one player for trying too hard. It's weird if you are a coach and you make fun of a player saying, oh, we'd all be in shambles if she led the team, to another adult. It is kind of insulting if you're a coach and you say to a player and she's trying to talk to you and you say to her, oh, you're still talking? How are you an adult? Sometimes I wish we could pause the aging of some adults so that you could still be a kid and someone could tell you that's not okay to do. Coaches said a lot of weird things to me. Teammates said a lot of weird things to me. Things that I don't think are appropriate to say on YouTube because I think, one, you still have the possibility to grow. And two, they're not appropriate for YouTube. They're so not appropriate for YouTube. However, all the female coaches, by the way, that played and did basketball for that program did not work there anymore by the time my senior season. They all left. And now my head coach of varsity, I don't think works there anymore. So the program that I'm talking about, if anyone connects the dots, is not the same program that I used to play at. Another thing I asked myself is, should I have got more playing time? Am I just a hypocrite? Am I actually kind of bad at basketball and like I was just being I was given the exact amount of minutes I deserved? I don't know. I'm not a coach. Now I gave my coach all the tools and told him I would literally do anything to play, and he gave me nothing in return. If an adult says to you no to something that's your dream and your thing and something you want to do, ask them why not. If they give you a reason, and this took me years to learn, if they give you a reason why not, they give you specifics, then that's just feedback. That's a no for now, but we can try again later. No is for now, not forever. If an adult says no and you say why not and they cannot give you specifics, they do not deserve your respect, and they are not respecting you as a human being and respecting your time. That took me years to learn through dealing with coaches and players and talking to older women that play basketball and their relationship with their coaches. That took me years to learn and have self-respect in myself as a female basketball player to learn that. My teammates didn't care about me. My coaches forgot that I was there, and I was trying to prove myself to a group of people that did not believe in me. That's already a failing situation. What is my situation right now? And going into college, I spent the summer in New York City playing basketball with a women's rec program, which was super cool. I was getting to a point where I was putting up like 8 points. One game I got 8 points, 10 rebounds, almost got a double-double. If you don't know, getting double digits in multiple columns of stats is a double-double. I got one time a high of 19 points. I was putting up 8 points a game. I was starting. The end of my senior year, I got to play an AAU team where I became the leader and helped kind of captain the team a little bit. I think my experiences since playing for my high school have only gotten better, and I've only gotten so much better. My dream and my goal, actually, I've made it my goal, is to be a walk-on at the University of Arizona for the women's basketball team. There is no club basketball team here. Right now, I'm playing for 3v3 teams intramural at the university. I wake up, I take a run, do weights here at the University Rec Center, run back to my dorm, do my classes, and then I do an hour or two in the afternoon of basketball. And if I miss my run in the morning, I'll do a treadmill or weights in the afternoon. Even if I don't make D1 here, at least I can never go through my life saying about like, what if? It's like, no, I actually tried my hardest. To end off my video, and if you're curious if I should have got more playing time, my stepmom met someone that coached the nearby private school near me, and I guess was like, you know, talking about your kids or whatever, and was telling a private school coach, and the private school coach said, and well, you know, if she played for our school, she'd probably start. Yo, there's no way. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. If you are a young athlete, I think it is very easy for people to support you, but it's not as easy for you to support yourself. But if that is a thing you can grow and a discipline you can gain, will take you a lot farther than anyone can push you. Toodaloo!